Sonic the Hedgehog has become a banner for right-wing YouTubers who think self-describing as anti-sjw can be a replacement for a personality.
Really, Clownfish TV is right-wing. Last I recall hearing them say is that they are center-left.
The movie is a pawn in a culture war that never really needed to happen and is used as a weapon against a completely unrelated movie, Birds of Prey, in the sweaty gamer discourse that always smells like a basement. Here's why. A subsection of social media loves this movie because it is the apolitical gold standard that they claim they always want, whereas Birds of Prey, a movie released around the same time and competed with Sonic at the box office, is political because it stars a woman.
There is a reason to bring up the fact of Sonic and Birds of Prey, because the media, some of it, not all of it, but some of the media, brings it up, trying to trash Sonic while trying to say that Birds of Prey is this masterpiece. The other reason why it's noteworthy to bring up Sonic is because they listened to their audience. That first design, pretty much everyone hated it. From right to left, from weeb to furry, everyone hated that design. And to help with that problem, they fixed it. They changed the design to more like that of the classic Sonic, like that of the more cartoon-looking Sonic. And of course, there's other parts in which it wasn't focused solely on, as you're going to mention in this video, the woke politics.
Part of gaming subculture is a common refutation of anything that politicizes their games or their habits. But the only games that politicize their habits to them are games which have politics that do not reinforce the political status quo, and games that are their so-called apolitical gold standard are games that do reinforce political status quo. They are political, but the status quo is culturally invisible, and since this subsection of hobbyists hold up intellectual incuriosity as a value, they are not motivated or incentivized to acknowledge this. Games that portray the United States military as an overall good for the world are apolitical to gamers, at least American gamers, because this is a culturally invisible, unquestioned truth, whereas a game that features a woman being strong and independent in a male-dominated world is too political, and this mindset overlaps in discourse about popular media in general, including movies, and in the rare event of a video game movie, the intensity upon which it must be defended as apolitical must then double.
That is probably not the best argument to make because that would basically mean everything is political. For example, if it portrayed doctors as all being these competent people that always know what they're doing, that could be argued to be political. Just having the military be good in a game doesn't mean it's political. That's just how the game is set. That is the setting. Being political is when you're trying to push a narrative. When you're trying to put a setting up, that's just a setting. For example, Wonder Woman. It had this one part in which Wonder Woman was talking to this native guy in which he mentioned that the white man killed off his people, or something to that effect. That is political. Wonder Woman fighting in World War I is not political because that's just the setting. Settings and a political message are two separate things. Just because it doesn't go into the bad things of the US government doesn't mean it's pro-US government. It's just not going into that because that's not pertinent to the story and they don't care about pushing a particular political narrative. Now, as to your second point of saying that right-wing men or right-wing gamers, whatever it be, hate women in movies or games, that's bull. Men buy games with main characters that are female. You're literally showing a popular game series with a female main character. It's not because a character is female that they won't buy a game. The reasons why they may not buy a particular game with a female main character is for multiple reasons. One, because they want a historical, realistic setting, but I think most men could just brush that off as long as it's mostly realistic on other areas. Other reasons they may not like the game or not buy a game is because bad game design, bad game controls, bad game story. Or the final reason, and which has been a reason for some games and also for some movies, TV shows, things like that, is because when they get so virtue signally political where they're talking down to you and saying you're an evil person, talking about there's a white patriarchy, talking about that all men are trash, saying that blacks and Hispanics and anyone who isn't white is all so oppressed. Those are the things right-wing gamers, I believe, I can speak for pretty much all of them, is what they don't like. Those kinds of things. Not because it has a woman as the main character that you play.
Sonic the Hedgehog is a fairly conservative film. The character with an arc is Tom, a police officer. He goes through the basic want and need arc of wanting to be a big city cop in San Francisco to realizing he needs to be a friendly country sheriff. Tom's sister-in-law does not like him for unexplained reasons, and since the only thing we know about Tom is that he's a cop, we can infer that she doesn't like him because she wisely believes that the police as an institution monopolize violence and should be dismantled and replaced.
I'm sorry, how on earth do you get it to mean that? That is widely taking a big leap on what its intentions might be. It's never said what the reason is why she hates him. It could be many different reasons. It could be something he said during a meeting when he saw her. Who knows? It could just be that he has bad breath. Just because she's black and he's a cop doesn't mean that she hates him because he's a cop. Also, you know, this is technically a trope within movies and TV shows. Often it's a trope within comedies. The whole point of it could literally just be for comedic effect and have nothing to do with the police. And just because something is based in a small town doesn't mean that it's conservative. You're drawing things from absolutely nothing. You're projecting your perceived values of things on a movie about a blue hedgehog. By your projection things, which saying that the town is conservative because it's a small town, I could say that this is a liberal movie because, oh, Sonic Hedgehog is blue. Blue often means that they're a Democrat or liberal. This must be a liberal movie. See how retarded your argument sounds?
Another conservative value in the film is the rural, small town is shown to be full of real Americans, and the big city Dr. Robotnik constantly demeans them for this, and for being too country. Rural and country are conflated with conservative America, and Robotnik positions himself as the enemy of said conservative America.
Or, just hear me out, or, it's a trope.
Robotnik is an egghead intellectual who the Department of Defense only reluctantly works with, and once he's out of the picture, the rough, tough American soldiers disavow his existence, and show their support of Tom in his small town. Sonic the Hedgehog is anything but apolitical, but since patriotism, small-town values, and glorification of both the police and military are the culturally invisible, goes without saying, ideology of a huge swath of the paying audience for the film, its most ardent supporters can and do ignore this.
Okay, I could maybe see your idea for glorification of police. Maybe. But the glorification of the military? No. They had the military literally going after Sonic because they were fearful of what he was. I don't think that's glorification. Sending out the military to handle this whole situation and just letting Dr. Robotnik handle it, that's not glorification of the military. If anything, the military is in some side sense the villain in this case. At least until the end. Now, is this glorification of small towns? No. It's literally just a setting. The setting of a small town is a very, very typical setting. They could have also gone with a big city setting. That wouldn't make it a liberal movie. That wouldn't mean that they're glorifying big cities. Now, for the message that it was pro-cop. Not really in a more technical sense because it really doesn't go into anything about police, because him being a cop is just part of the setting, like the sheriff or the deputy who finds this mystery and whatever. It's just a setting. It's a typical kind of character background. Now, if they introduce something which they found like one bad cop and he arrested that bad cop or something to that effect, then yeah, you could argue it's glorifying cops. But it didn't do anything like that. Not even close. It's literally just the setting. It's just a character. It's not glorifying cops.
Sonic the Hedgehog can certainly be enjoyed without any interest in trashing birds of prey, and will predominantly be put in front of the eyeballs of children who have no love for or even knowledge of this toxic discourse. But due to this invented rivalry, it's hard for people to casually announce that they enjoyed Sonic the Hedgehog on social media without being accidentally and unwillingly drafted into this fabricated conflict.
Tell that to your birds of prey loving left-wing loons. As I have stated earlier, the media started this. Not all the media, mind you, but there is some of the media that started it. The left was the first to get into this. They're the ones bringing everyone else into this whole discussion. You're just blindsided by your disdain for the right.
The crass, unceasing product placement reminds me too much of the economic system and culture that prizes profit over humanity, and that was responsible for the demise of the VFX house that made the titular character. The movie reminds me of diminishing union power. The movie reminds me of the ever-growing disparity between the rich and everyone else.
Oh, brother. Everyone is getting richer, dumbass. Who cares if the richer are getting richer? As long as everyone's getting richer, so what? I could care less that Bill Gates has billions of dollars, and while I may at best make, let's say $60,000 a year, I don't care that he makes billions of dollars. What I care is about how much I am making. If I can make it, that's fine with me. Now, the whole product placement, it really didn't bother me. The Olive Garden thing, it was kind of annoying, but I really didn't care. The whole point of that is they're trying to make their money back. They might have thought that, well, what if this movie fails? Because, a lot of movies based off of video games fail. That's probably why they did the whole advertising. Or it might have been just to also build up their budget so they could have more money. They have to make a profit. They're in this business to make a profit. So what if they use a few ads that may be annoying to some people, may be a bit annoying at times? They have to make money somehow. They aren't doing this for free. If you find it annoying, fine. But god damn it, you are such a f***ing whiner.
Not to mention, literally everything else that's happening right now, including but not limited to a global pandemic whose eventual cure will almost certainly not be provided for free for poor people. At least not in my country. Free testing, perhaps. Free treatment, highly unlikely.
Do you even know that for a fact? Do you? Because for as far as you know, they could give it out free. Do you know what's given out for free every year to people? Millions of people? The flu shot. Not for everyone, but for the very susceptible people like children and the elderly. Or it costs very little. Of course, I'm assuming you're an American because it just sounds like something a dumb liberal American would say. Anyways, that's it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a like, subscribe, share, comment down below and tell me what you thought. Follow me on Twitter and Parler if you want to see my views outside of YouTube. And if you really like my content, consider donating to my Patreon or to my Ko-fi. Do all that, and I'll see y'all later.
We bop and hippity hop, I'm as happy as I can be.